That's right. Well, good afternoon. It's Wednesday this time instead of Monday like the last one, but hope everybody is doing well as you are hopping on. We're going to be doing some dream interpretation today. So I brought Daniel with me.
Hey guys.
We always enjoy talking about spiritual things together. And so thought it would be fun for the both of us to get on here and interpret some dreams together. So while you are hopping on, go ahead and let us know where you're at. Post that in the comments. Let us know if you know anybody or have any of your friends that might be interested in hearing about this. Make sure you click that like button, maybe share the video, let them know about it so that we can get the word out there. There might be somebody new that is going to come on that we'll be able to interpret a dream for. So how we normally do these is we'll get started here in a few minutes with some dream interpretation, and we'll just be looking at the comments, and whatever comment happens to be the most recent when we're looking for a dream, we'll choose it. We'll put the dream up on the screen, and then we'll start talking about what we think that it means and see if the Lord gives us an interpretation. If he does, we share it. If not, we apologize, and then we get to move on to the next one. So that is the current plan. Let's see, we've got some people. We've got Chicago coming in. We've got Texas. Welcome. Good to see you again. Maine. Boy, it's been a while since I have talked to you, Pam. Bless you. Hope you're doing well. We got Brooklyn, New York. We've got Iowa. We've got Haiti. Welcome. The Cayman Islands. Welcome, welcome. Good to have you on. Glad you can. And we have Germany in the house. I see Edith.
Hi, Edith. We're going to see you real soon.
Yes, that's amazing. Ontario. Well, glad you guys are hopping on. Good to have you with us. We're going to be doing some dream interpretation here in just a second. We like to do these on a regular basis. So about once a month, we hop on and we'll do some live dream interpretation. Usually once a month, Sherry, who is our head intercessor here at Streams, she will hop on a lot of times with Joni or one of the other intercessors and pray for any prayer requests that you guys have. So if you're interested in those, make sure that you're keeping an eye. If you're on YouTube, you've subscribed and you've hit that little bell so you get your notifications and know when we're going live. If you're on some of the other ones, I think if you're on Facebook, you automatically will get a notification if you have notifications for that. So you'll be able to see those and recognize it. And then we put out various different videos throughout the week. We have our church service that we put up. We try to put out some excerpts from the messages for encouragement, to challenge you guys and to help you grow. So you'll be seeing those. And let's see, we've got Virginia, Minnesota. So Carrie, you're going to be up there in Minnesota when I come next month. That is awesome. I have actually been wondering what was wrong with my brain when I agreed to come to Minneapolis, St. Paul in the end of February. I think that there was something got tilted there for a second. No, I'm really excited to be coming. That's not the time of the year that I would most like to come, but I want to try to get up there to the school at least every year. And this was the time that worked out on everybody's schedule. So looking forward to being with everybody and seeing you. So let's jump into some dream interpretation. If you have a dream that you want us to take a look at, let us know. Go ahead and put it on the comments. We should be able to see most of the comments. Like I said, we will look at the most recent ones. So it'll be random as to what dreams that we get. It's not necessarily going to be in any order. So we just trust that the Lord's going to be involved in the process and that we'll get the right ones. But the first dream that we had put up is from Abby. So we'll just start with this one. I'm on the phone with Joel, who Abby is courting, and he kept asking me if I have a pink robe. Okay. So it's always one of those fun things when you have somebody that you are in a relationship, especially romantic relationships with, in your dreams. Is this your soul processing something? Is this information, or is this something from the Lord? Now, there's no promise here that's going on, so it's not a message from God, but there might be something. There is a communication that's happening, and trying to find out, is that the soul, or is that a message from the Lord? The idea of a pink robe, pink is talking about passion. Are you clothed in passion? And it could be asking you to search your heart, not that he is asking, but that you're searching your own heart and just seeing, like, what level of passion do I have in this relationship? Do I have the passion to cover this relationship? So that would be the idea of a pink robe. Did you get something?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, teaching moment, the thing about elements is, because it's not a husband and a wife, it wouldn't necessarily be a message from the Lord. Do you know what I mean? If it's a dating relationship, it's a different image. So I think where you're heading with that is, do you have the passion? Are you covered? Are you clothed in this passion that is needed from the persistent asking of the one that you're dating? So if this was a dream about a husband, we might have a bit of a different message.
Yeah.
But we don't.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, wow. Okay, now we've got
now we've got some dreams coming in. So the most recent one, Jacqueline Smith. You want to?
Okay. I dreamt that my unsaved hubby came inside hurriedly and put my ordination gown on as he hurried back outside, saying he was going to ordain someone. Okay, so the funny thing is, we just talked about hubbies, right? Yeah. So I know that, Jacqueline, you've used the language of unsaved hubby because that is how that naturally stands right now. But my feeling in my spirit is, this is not about your husband. This is about your bridegroom king, which is Jesus. And he came inside looking for the ordination gown, looking for your calling and your election, as he hurried back outside saying he was going to ordain somebody. So in this season, the Lord is taking something that is on your life and actually also imparting it to somebody else. Now, whether you're in relationship with that person or not, the dream's not super clear, but just know that this is the Lord informing you that there is a grace on your life that actually he has a desire to spread onto other people's lives. So just keep an eye on that, keep praying into that. But the sense that I have in my spirit is that it's maybe something that you haven't valued as much as the Lord has valued, and him re-establishing the value for the thing that is on your life.
That's good. Yeah, I love that picture of something that was given to you that marked your calling that's now being given to someone else. So that's fun. Sandy, welcome, Sandy. Glad you could make it on. So I had a dream that I was in a Buick Regal. My dad used to drive one, driving in a cemetery where my dad is actually buried at. It's dusky, not sure if morning or night. I stop at a hill and I watch as outlines of bodies are rising out of their graves and being drawn up to the Lord. The body outlines were in this glittery gold outline. The stars were also sparkly and bright. It was a beautiful scene. Okay. So this, I mean, there's a lot of fun pictures that is going on here. And I'm going through like 3 different options, and I'm trying to kind of like which one is landing in my spirit in this particular thing. So that one, there is clearly a message that's about the previous generation. Is it specifically your dad? Is it the previous generation? You're actually walking in or going in, ministering in something that was there, but you're also remembering those things from those that have gone ahead, which would be the previous generation. So cemetery, people that have already gone, and recognizing the beautiful things that they have. So the outlines of their bodies in gold. Gold is talking about purity. It's talking about the glory of the Lord. Ascending to the Lord. This is talking about the promise of resurrection. So this is something of the spirit from a previous generation that you're recognizing and you're seeing. And the stars were also sparkly and bright. It was a beautiful scene. Basically, what you are seeing in this is a metaphorical picture of the great cloud of witnesses. You're seeing the natural, the people that have risen in the Lord, but you're also seeing the heavenly, the stars, the angelic that are already there. And you're recognizing that you are part of this company of people. And what you're walking in right now is the result of the faithfulness of their lives, that you're actually moving in something that came from them. And that thing that came from them is still living and is still bringing praise and glory to the Lord. That is a beautiful, beautiful dream. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that one. You want to do this one?
Edith, the dream. I was getting ready to attend my own wedding, hairdresser present, white gown. Then just before I walk out the door, I changed from my black shoes into silver shoes that Tina gave me. So obviously, Tina, if I had the chance to ask you, I would maybe ask the question about Tina, but the person is, as a detail in the dream, doesn't change the overall dream itself. So I'm getting ready to attend a wedding. I'm getting ready to enter into covenant. The dresser is there. The glory that's on my life is going to get set into place. The gown of purity is getting put on me. But that black shoes was the way that you used to walk according to the pattern of the world. That black shoes is how I used to operate from my soul. And the Lord is giving you redemption and giving you a righteousness and a way to walk in this next season that you previously didn't.
Yeah. That's a fun one.
It's a good dream. I like the new, by the way, you guys can't see this, but the format of how this looks for us on this end.
Actually, they're seeing.
Okay.
They're seeing
this
the
looks
way
really
that
good.
Looks.
So
yeah. Yeah. They've
updated
updated the system a little bit so that it's got the nice little bubbles on the comments when we're putting them up instead of just being a box across the bottom of the screen.
It's an enjoyable experience all around now. So
it's definitely more helpful. So this is a great question. Nicole, you're asking, what would diamonds on a snake mean? So you've got a couple different things, one diamond and then two snake. So anytime you have an element in a dream, so like which way is it? There it is. That's the Dream Elements book. I'm pointing at it in the library. Whenever you have an element in a dream, you take a look at that element and then any details about that element, modify it. So you start like the main element of this is a snake, and the snake has diamonds. So the snake you want to interpret first, and then what are diamonds and modify the snake. So snake in general usually is a negative thing. It would be extremely rare. There's one time in scripture where the snake, and it was a bronze serpent that was hung up on a pole that represented Jesus, and Jesus said that represented him. So there's a possibility that there's good. That would be a very specific context and meaning in that. In general, snakes talk about deception, lies. We have the very first snake that we find in scripture that was lying, was the deceiver. Not always the devil, but generally some type of a lie, some type of a deception. And, I know this doesn't work in every language, but in English, it works really well. Snakes are just a long tail. And that play on words, a tale, a lie, a false story, that really works well in understanding what a snake. So a snake is going to mean something that is negative. Now, thinking about diamonds, they're precious, right? They're valuable. They're hard. Diamonds are forever. So there's a link there. There's something that is long standing. And I'm trying to avoid using the word eternal because eternal has the concept of never having a beginning, never having an ending. But bad things, especially on lies, there's a definite beginning and there's a definite ending, but it's talking about the fact that it stands the test of time because diamonds will stand the test of time. So it basically, it's a deception that's looking precious or looking valuable. So it's something that's dressed up to look valuable or that, the owner of the snake would think was valuable. Now the question and trying to figure out what would that mean in a dream? Because the context elements get their meaning from the context that they're in. So if that was a snake that you saw in somebody else's yard, then it would be about them, right? Their yard, their life. If it was a snake that was in your yard, it's something that's in your environment that you're dealing with. If it was a pet snake, it's something that you own. If it was a snake that you were able to avoid, then you're going to be able to see it and you're not going to be touched by it. If it's a snake that bites you, now it says that it's going to affect you and it's going to harm you. If it's a pet, that's a problem. Pet snakes in dreams are not a good thing, because that means that it's a deception that you've owned and you're actually caring for. You're actually nurturing that lie in your life. So where was the snake? What was the snake doing? What was the dynamic in the dream? All of that is going to kind of dial that in a little bit. But the concept of a snake with diamonds, that gives you some ways to think about this. Okay. Bell, I'm ready to open service with 2 songs. Then they tell me I'm about to give birth. I see an older lady hold the sack where the baby is. The baby is trying to come out. I hear a voice say, "This is the painful part." I love dreams. Dreams are amazing. Like if you, I mean, like you have the dream, so you have that full picture, but trying to picture,
trying to
that
visualize
is,
this one is,
yeah, the sack catching the baby like that. I mean, it's, you know, things that don't make sense in the natural, but it's not about saying this is that. It's giving you pictures of something. And the whole context is what you're doing in service. So this is about worship. You're about ready to open service with 2 songs. So you're getting started. You're releasing your gifting, but you actually are not called to just open up a service. You're actually called to birth something. The Lord has put something inside of you that it's got to come out of you. And you've been in a season where you're serving and you're doing things, and that has prepared you, positioned you for it to come out. And people around you are trying to figure out how to navigate and how to keep this thing happening. But you are the one that is birthing this thing. And there's going to be some pain in it coming out. It's actually going to cost something for you to release what the Lord has grown inside of you. So revelation,
so
you got
the piece on this, the older lady hold the sack where the baby is, that makes no sense in the natural. The sack is really about the humility that is actually that is needed for this to come out. So the baby was hidden in, and when you said sack, I'm seeing like a Hessian sack. And so that really represents, it's really emblematic of the mantle of humility. There's nothing beautiful about that mantle, but it's the most precious thing. So what is being birthed in you is being birthed through humility. That's why it's painful, because it's not an easy birth.
That's good. All right. There it is. Got to click. Okay, Melissa, this was your dream. Do you want to go ahead and do this one?
I'm going to ignore the date. No disrespect. I just don't need that piece. I saw a big tree with many cardinals perched on its branches. It appeared to be at least 100 of them. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways that this could go. Cardinals are an interesting bird. They're red. Are they blue cardinals, or is it just red cardinals? Just red cardinals. Yeah. So you're looking.
The females are brown.
The females are brown. So this is male. This is the red cardinal. Red, there seems to be at least 100 of them. So a big tree with many cardinals perched in its branches. The first thought that I immediately have is it talks about the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, where the birds of the air come and perch in them. But this feels like that this is not you. You're not seeing yourself necessarily as this big tree, but I feel like this is actually speaking to a leader who is in front of you in this season that is actually bringing forth the things of the kingdom, providing shelter for all of these birds. And the number 100 just means that there's many, many, many that are able to come under the covering of this leader. And it's not a season. I don't want to use that word, but there is someone that's in front of you that has the capacity, a large covering that many can come under their shade. And I believe the Lord would be highlighting this to you as invitation into prayer, but also maybe even, I mean, this is not in the dream, but this is almost a revelation piece, not to be afraid to actually be able to find shade in the midst of all of these birds and all of these noise, because it is going to be a peaceful place.
Yeah. Interesting.
Red cardinals are very personal to our family, so that's why I was trying to push that thought over there.
It's always fun when you are trying to interpret a dream that has elements that you have personal connection with, maybe from your own prophetic history, something like that, because there's a tendency to try to put it into the interpretation, and it may mean something very specific to one person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a common meaning. And that's one of the things in looking at a lot of different dream dictionaries that I've seen from different people, that's one of the biggest mistakes that happens is there'll be things that are in there and they have very specific meaning to the dreamer. Maybe they had a dream where that was a profound dream. It meant something to them, and nobody else ever has that in a dream, or it means something different to other people in the dream. So that tendency is something real. And so catching that and being able to recognize, oh, wait a second, I'm trying to make this fit my prophetic history.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work out in dream interpretation.
The last thought on the red cardinals is that there's actually a lot of wisdom in the people that have gathered under this leader. It's actually coming, that red being the color of wisdom, the color of anointing, the color of zeal. So those just don't miss your place under the covering because of the amount of zeal and the amount of wisdom that's being displayed. If you'll come under it, you'll actually also receive the same measure.
All right. Krystal, a nice short dream. Dreamt with an adopted child, lost him, and sent out Amber Alert. So the idea of an adopted child. So a child is something that you're responsible for. You're supposed to take care of. If you're birthing it, it's something that was born from you, but an adopted child is something that somebody else developed, somebody else formed, but you are responsible for, you're taking care of. So there's something that you've received, something that has been imparted to you that you've taken responsibility for, and you're not actually walking in it right now, and you need to take that seriously. Put out an Amber Alert. Don't just let it be a small thing. Do whatever it takes to find that thing that you've been given, because it is yours to walk in. So that's a good dream. Therese, you want to do this one?
Yeah, of course, give me this one. So I was in another time age, prayed for a Jewish couple, prophesied, mentioned a brother called James, and the word chava, which I found out is Hebrew. Another brother came and was angry I had prayed. Okay. So this is interesting. So is this an encounter? Is this a dream? There is... I was in another time age. That's the piece that I'm trying to put into place. So the simplest form of the dream is I'm in another era. I'm going to use that language. I'm in another time. I'm praying for a couple. I prophesy over them. I mention a brother called James and the word chava, which I found is Hebrew. Then another brother came and was angry that I had prayed. There is something timeless. There is something that is generational connected to the anointing that you're walking in, that is actually connected to, I actually believe that you have a grace for intercession for the land. I think the Jewish couple is representing life. So the word means life. James was the brother of Jesus and life. So I am praying for a Jewish couple. I prophesy over them. I mention a brother called James and the word life. And another brother came and was angry that I had prayed. I actually feel that this is part of a calling for you, that you have a calling to pray. The Jewish couple, I don't think is a couple. I feel like this is emblematic of Israel. And in that intercession, it's going to be prophetically informed. There's going to become prophetic release. It's going to release life. And when I think of James, I think of justice. You know, we think of the gospel. We think of in the brother of Jesus, but we think about the epistle, not the gospel of James. Mm-hmm. And it's very black and white. It's very much about the righteousness and the justice of God. So there's a call to actually connect with justice and release life, but do not be the word I'm looking for is don't allow yourself to be afraid when somebody comes in and is angry towards the calling that's over your life to pray. Be faithful in what you have.
Yeah. And I would not be surprised if you already know about this. You've already been feeling this pull towards Judaism and exploring that and recognizing that this is a call to intercession. The other thing about James is the fact that he was well known and well respected by the Jews. That even as he is preaching Jesus, that he was well respected. He was known for his life of integrity and his life of prayer. He was actually called Camel Kneed James because his knees had developed these calluses from being on his knees so much in prayer that there was a recognition of it. So yeah, there is that's fun.
That's cool. I didn't know that about Camel Knee.
Yeah, Camel Knee James.
That's cool to learn.
KK, I was inspecting a house as if I were a realtor. House was nice and surprisingly affordable.
Sorry, I have such a bad sense of humor. I'm like, as long as there's not a link to you selling a house below this, we're good.
Yes, and click this link and you can see the houses that I have for sale, as I am actually a realtor. Sorry,
that's my sense of humor,
and I'm getting in trouble with it. So I just got caught up in that slipstream and went along with it.
That's my bad.
You got to be careful. The thing about a realtor is a realtor doesn't own it. They just help the right person find it. And you're going to help people figure out where they fit in life, helping them to recognize those things that are good. And it'll be surprising to them and probably to you that it'll actually be something that they can do. It's affordable for their life. Yeah,
that's good.
That's fun. All right. This one's yours.
Jackie, I was in my old school hall. I sat on one side but couldn't see the board, so I moved to the other side. Then I went for 3 ultrasounds. First was 1 baby, second one was baby, and then there were 4 babies. Okay, so it's interesting when there's patterns and themes in the night. So babies and birthing, callings and elections seems to be tonight. So I was in my old school hall. So this feels twofold. You're going back into a season of training, but you're actually going back to somewhere where you previously learned, but there was not clarity. You couldn't see the board. So the Lord's going to move you in this season of training where there's clarity. And because of that movement, there's going to be things that are birthed through you. That's going to seem natural, and there's going to be a rhythm to it. There's going to be one thing, then the other, and then there will be an acceleration and a multiplication on the things that you're being birthed. But it's connected to a season of learning that you need to return to so that you can properly steward the season you're in now.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to have to position yourself to be able to recognize what's being shown you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. So I gotta jump to this dream, Ronald. Good to hear from you. So Ronald Tucker is a pastor at a church in Glassboro, New Jersey that I've done a bunch of courses with. Actually, when we were getting ready to move from New England down here to Texas, me and Donna on our drive down, we stopped in Glassboro and taught a course and then finished driving on down and met our moving truck down here. So Ronald, this is your dream. At an intersection in my truck, ready to make a right. I stopped because I couldn't see the light. Mike Tyson on my right, vigorously waving me on. I looked up and the light was green for me. I waved at Mike and turned on. So there is a transition that you are waiting to find out if it's the transition that you need to take. And it's actually your history in spiritual warfare, being a fighter, that is going to help you to recognize that it is time. You actually do have a green light to go for this thing. Yeah. So Mike Tyson, I mean, he's a fighter. Like he can mean a lot of different things, but he really is a fighter. So there'd be that spiritual warrior. I buffeted my body. I box as one who's wanting to win. How does that go? And not as one who's is boxing with the air, but so that whole concept of the energy that we put into our spiritual life, but spiritual warfare specifically. And you've got the faith for it, but you're just trying to make sure, do I actually have a green light? I'm not sure, is this the right thing? And it's through your spiritual fighting the good fight that you'll recognize that you actually do have the green light and it's time to go for it. So man, it's great to see your name again.
That's really good, because sometimes Rolodexing through like an image like Mike Tyson. So the first thought I had was boxer, but I didn't kind of go sideways and be like boxer, fighter, contender to find what was actually the image. Because sometimes elements you've got to kind of move left on, well, what else could this be called, to kind of drop on what it represents. So that was actually super helpful for me. I was stuck on boxer.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna do
Prudence, farm setting. I want you to go gather hay and put it in a basket. Then I put the A basket contents into the P basket. I want you to keep them separate so that no one will be able to take the blessing.
Glad you got this one.
Yeah, okay. So I want you to go gather hay. So it's time of harvest, but what you're harvesting and gathering in this season is for specific things. There is a right place to put what you are harvesting, and there is a wrong place, and you need to keep them separate, because if you take that which is meant, you know, it says hay, but I always think you kind of thinking of like, you know, the parable of the wheat, you know, where the wheat and the tares grow up together and they don't go to the same destination, even though they're harvested at the same time. And all of these things look like the same thing, but one, it's going to take the eyes of the Spirit to know what needs to be put into basket A, what is good and is going to inherit the blessing, and also not what to touch in this season of harvest, because this season of harvest, it feels like there's favor on you to gather things, but you need to make sure you steward that favor correctly so that you don't lose the blessing that's coming with it.
Yeah. And the A basket and the P basket, that's the apostolic calling and the prophetic calling. There's stuff that is related to the leadership call on your life. And if you keep on trying to put it into the prophetic basket, you're not going to get the blessing that you're supposed to be walking in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. Justified Jauquel. I think that's how you would say that. So I dreamt I was looking through a window that was filled with dew, and I saw an invisible hand write EV2. Then I saw a big, lush tree. I heard the sound of a baby cry. Then female trees talking to me. You know what this feels like to me? This feels like what we call a chemical dream or a body dream, where like it's okay. That's whoa, and that's interesting. Is like these different things that kind of hit, and there's not a concise storyline that goes through it that really gives a message. A lot of people they call these pizza dreams.
Cheese dreams.
I don't know that I have an interpretation for this. It just feels like, oh, that's an interesting experience.
There's a lot of collection of elements, but there's nothing that actually connects the dots.
Yeah, that ties them together. One of the ways that you recognize, you know, like a body dream. So body dreams can come because, you know, just physical things when you're sick, fevers, environmental stuff, chemical dreams. I mean, yeah, alcohol and drugs is the most common, but a lot of medicines, even some vitamins can affect your dreams. Sleeping pills of various kinds, melatonin, that type of thing. All of that can affect the dreams. So it's, you know, chemical dreams is not necessarily drugs. There's a variety of different things, but it's chemical interactions that will cause a vibrancy, and we'll just remember random thoughts and we'll kind of pull them together. So that's the idea. And when you have those kinds of dreams, you can recognize them because there's not a clear plot line. There's not a clear storyline that kind of holds the story together. They just seem to be like, oh, and this, and this, oh, and this, and this. But like, okay, but how do those actually, like, there's not an interaction that they're fitting together on that. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's intriguing. Thanks for sharing that dream. Let's see. Here we are. Donna Air. Let's see. I had a dream of my son Peter when he was little, and he suddenly went missing, and I couldn't find him anywhere. This is not the first time of having dreams like this. So this is a classic soul dream, fear dream. So this is recognizing that you probably have these dreams in seasons when the relationship with your son is not as close and you're feeling a little bit insecure in that relationship, maybe because he's going through something, maybe because of situations. So it's recognizing the state of the soul. We call these self-conditioned dreams or soul dreams. It's just showing you what's going on. And so pay attention, like when you're having these dreams, do they fit that pattern? Do you tend to have these dreams when, maybe there's a little bit of a distance, you haven't heard from him for a while, or maybe there's some conversations that aren't as easy. There's some dispute that's going on, that kind of thing. See if there's a connection there, because that would be that's what this dream, because you just have a lot of this dream is that feeling, and it started when he was little. So there was something that was going on at that period of time that made you concerned for that. Am I going to be able to love him the way I'm supposed to love him? Am I going to be a good mom? Am I going to be a whatever that would be, the dynamic? Sometimes there'll be a root like that you can find, and sometimes it's just kind of an insecurity that we have over time. And it's really helpful to have these dreams because we can recognize them. And when you have a dream like that, instead of just thinking, there's separation between me and my son, then your response is to go to the Lord. Okay, so Lord, what are you saying about this? What do you want me to do? It's actually not true. There's not a separation. Or here's how you can fix that, or whatever it may be. Here's how you can pray. This is something that you can do. You turn it into an engagement with the Lord and invite him into that process, because that stimulus, it's not good, bad, or indifferent. It just is. But how we respond to it is really important. So inviting the Lord into that and then responding in that way is really key. Okay. Let you do this one.
Okay. Hi, I dreamt, this is for Claire B. I dreamt I woke up in a brand new house in the dead of night. I could see out huge windows in the backyard. It was a field with burning cars. I got scared, but a good man appeared and took my hand. Okay, so at night, this is one of those classic, night is majority of the time is not a good element, meaning that when it's at night, this is the Lord letting you know what the intention of the enemy is. So Claire, you've moved into a new season that has the capacity for you to have vision, but the vision is where you've been, not where you're going. I'm looking into the backyard. The enemy's trying to get you to be get you to see where you've been. And he's trying to provoke in you that somehow that there is chaos and destruction behind you from a former season. But a good man appeared and took my hand. The Lord is letting you know this is actually not how your history is, and this is not the season that you are truly in. This is actually a tactic of the enemy to get you to look behind and not embrace where you are.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, Tamesha.
This is cool.
I dreamt that I stood under a very tall tree. I looked up and saw an owl. Next to me on a lower, there were two small birds, and one pecked my finger, but the beak went around my finger, so it didn't hurt. Yeah, that's very cool. You know, owls are one of those interesting things
Mm.
because they tend to be night creatures. There can be a negative connotation to them. But the other thing that's really cool about owls is they can see into the night. They can see through the darkness. They can see in the darkness. And so that also can talk about prophetic vision. I had an amazing, it was a pretty profound encounter that I had one time where the Holy Spirit came to me as an owl, was about 8 foot tall, and had me crawl on his back. We went for a ride. And that there's a lot, that's another thing, but I'm just saying that there are some good things that owls can represent, even though they can also be negative. And we tend towards, I mean, a lot of dream interpretation, spiritual dream interpretation will tend towards seeing them as a negative thing. And they can be, but they're not. And it doesn't feel like it is. And that's the whole reason why I told that story, because it doesn't feel like this is a negative thing. You're standing under a very tall tree. So this is some form of leadership, and there is spiritual activity that's going on. There is wisdom there, and there is angelic activity. So the birds that are there, 2 small birds, one pecked your finger, but it didn't hurt the finger. It actually was pointing out the finger. It was grabbing the finger. It was drawing your attention to the finger. So in the midst of the environment, of the leadership environment that you're in, there's spiritual activity, there's spiritual wisdom, and some of that is drawing out specific things about you. Now, my question is which finger it was, because which finger it is would probably tell you a little bit about something that's going on. So you got 5 fingers on your hand, and they tend to represent the various aspects of the fivefold. So the pinky finger will often represent the teacher because it's able to get in small spaces, figure things out. The ring finger will often represent the pastoral, the prophetic, because they're married to the church, married to the bride. The middle finger often represents the evangelist because it reaches out further than all the other ones. The pointer finger usually represents the prophetic because it's pointing things out, drawing our attention to what's needed. And then the thumb will often represent the apostolic because it's the linchpin that holds them all together and allows us to grab hold of kingdom realities and walk them out. So depending on which finger it was, that might tell you something about which one of your giftings is being drawn out spiritually in this season that you're in. So that's fun. CK, you want to do this one?
Selling a bag of brooches to 2 sisters. First was large vintage silver butterfly. Second was smaller gold elephant. So a brooch is not necessarily clothing. It's something that adorns clothing. It's a detail that will actually make something appear. I mean, it elevates. So a brooch is something that elevates an outfit, not to get too fashion on you on this one. But you have a bag of brooches to 2 sisters, but the two that you saw specifically was a large vintage silver butterfly. Now that would speak of when I think of vintage, it's something that is classic. It is something that has stood the test of time. Silver speaking of redemption, restoration. Butterfly speaking of transformation and the ability to catch the wind. So there's an adornment in your hand that you're able to give to somebody, to sell to somebody. Like nothing changed hands, but the feeling in the dream is I'm selling the bag of brooches to 2 sisters. But what you are handing on to 2 sisters, meaning I actually think this represents the body of Christ to some degree. 2 sisters.
Yeah, sisters in Christ.
Sisters in Christ. But there is something that stands the test of time, that is restorative in nature and has the ability to catch the wind. And the other one is a gold elephant. There's this other adornment that you are giving to those around you that actually has a measure of God's glory attached to it. But when I think of the elephant, an elephant has the ability to drink deep, but it also, I think of the thought, an elephant never forgets.
Yep.
So there is something about the remembrance of God's glory and God's acts that you are able to instill in other people so that it adorns them. So you have people around you who are adorned in remembrance of God's glory, but also in things that stand the test of time, that are redemptive in nature, that are able to actually catch the wind of the Spirit.
Yeah, that's cool. Good stuff. Okay. This is Anne. There we are. Anne, pitch black dark, street lights, children's playground. Balls get immediately sucked in by school parking lot. Then bright plant nursery, small and steep rolling hills, raised garden beds nailed down. All right. So this, it's always fun. And I realize you're doing your best to put as much of this dream as you can in a limited amount of space. And so you had to leave out connecting words and some of the activities. So we'll see what we can get from this. All right. So you've been going through a dark season where it's been hard to understand what's going on. You haven't had a lot of revelation, but there's been some things in your environment that started to shed light in it. But it's actually some of that season, that pitch black, that time, actually stole some stuff from your childhood. But the Lord is actually showing you that you're in a new season where he's regrowing those things, the nursery. And this is plants, as a place for these plants. And the new season you're going to, you notice the change where you go from pitch black dark to street lights, then a bright plant nursery and steep and rolling hills. Now you're in the daylight. So this is a season shift that has gone from the previous season where it was dark and things were being, specifically your innocence being taken from you. But now you're coming into a place where there's new growth and there's an expansion, the small and steep rolling hills. Like there's an opening, there's a wide space that you've come into, and raised garden beds nailed down, that it's a safe environment for new things to learn can grow. So garden beds where you grow vegetables, it's where you grow things that you're going to eat, where you're going to be partaking of them. So this is a safe environment because they're raised garden beds, a safe, protected environment where the new things are growing. So you've gotten out of the dark season where you had to have things revealed to you by the environment. You've gone through the season of having some of your childhood playfulness being taken away from you and having to just sit things out. And you recognize that there's new growth. You've come into a bright space. And now where you're at right now is that place of the new things being protected as they grow that you're going to be partaking in. That's kind of a fun one. Let's see. Alinga.
You gave me the bathroom one. I was in a bathroom, had a BM. Thank you for saying BM. One was white, flush toilet. When one wouldn't go down.
The white one wouldn't go down.
White one wouldn't go down. Okay, I might need glasses. Next, I go outside. I see a pile of leafless trees cut off at the base, leaves next to the trees, pile bikes with no tires. So let me walk through the elements, because the qualifying understanding here is I was in a bathroom. There was a release. Now, white in the natural is emblematic of when you're not processing bile properly. You're not healthy. So there's some things that are indicating to you in some of the. Okay, let me back the sentence up because I got stuck halfway in the middle. There has been a deliverance that you've had to go through. What was healthy and what was necessary was actually received and cleansed, but what was an indicator to you has not yet been removed, because in the deliverance, the Lord is letting you know some of the things that have come out are not fully healthy yet. You're not at that place of health yet, that in order for it to be fully taken away. And outside, the thoughts are connected here. I go outside and I see piles of trees cut off at the base, leaves next to the tree, and bikes with no tires. And to me in this dream, the deliverance is connected to this this sense of, in the season that you've been in, that there's no life, everything's been stripped down, everything's immobile, there's no movement, there's no life, there's no movement forward. The Lord is wanting to get you out of, or highlighting that what he's dealing with is this sense of there is no growth and nowhere to go. There's no growth in what's been going on. Everything's been cut down, everything's been removed, and I have no ability to move on. In that place of deliverance that you're in, he's going to restore the growth and the ability to move forward, but recognizing that what he's highlighting is this will not go away until you get the message that you're not stuck and there is still life in you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Tatman. I dreamt as a doctor helping a line of people. Then a lady waited and came, took me to help older woman on bed with test results of kid aged 4 to 10 years. I didn't understand results, but was able to diagnose correctly. So you have a healing gift to help people, and people are going to ask you to help, and you're going to run into situations where you don't know what's going on, but you have the ability to help anyways. It's not about your ability to diagnose and understand what's happening. It's about the calling that's on your life to bring healing and restoration to people. Now, actually, I think that this is talking about spiritual healing, not necessarily about physical healing. So this is not necessarily being about a physical doctor. And part of it is that recognizing the immaturity in others is part of what you're helping to heal. So, wow. So this has been fun so far. We're going to do another dream before we go. But before we do that, I just want to make sure that you guys know we are here to equip you to hear God better. That's the whole reason streams exist. And so if you want to learn how to interpret dreams, like everything that I know about interpreting dreams, I got from taking the courses that we teach here at Streams Ministries. I was gifted with that. I mean, it's great being around Daniel. Daniel has, the Lord has given him some of these things and developed him before he ever took the courses, but he's also still learning things out of the courses as we go through.
The simplicity of the process that you can learn from John Paul is astounding, because a lot of the noise of what we get stuck in when it comes with hearing God is really just that. It's noise. It actually revolutionized a lot of the simplicity, and I felt like I don't get caught in the weeds as much as I used to, which is really good.
Yeah. And so if you're interested in learning and growing, make sure that you go to our website, streamsministries.com, check out the online classroom. We've got a bunch of courses. You can do a monthly subscription where you have access to the basic courses, what we call our core access. They're kind of our core courses: Art of Hearing God, Understanding Dreams and Visions, Advanced Workshop in Dreams and Visions from John Paul, and then the Practical Prophetic Training and the Gospel of the Kingdom that I wrote to that. Or you can do the all access, which we have, I think, 18 different courses from a number of different people.
I think it's more than that now, because we've also got conferences on there, like Awakening Revelations in there as well.
We keep on adding new content to that. So if you're in the all access, you have access to all of that. You can go deep, and we have got a lot of great resources. And then this year, we're going to be doing a lot of live events. So me and Daniel are both going to be speaking at our first conference that we have coming up this year. In April, we're going to be doing Prophetic Reformation Source. We are really focusing in on the idea of prophetic reformation. It's something that the Lord has put on my heart. I know that this is the season to really press into that. And this year, our main focus is on prophetic. So we're going to be doing a lot of events. We're going to be doing equipping. We're going to be doing training. We're starting our Streams Academy, prophetic and revelatory training, so that people can get diplomas in prophetic and revelatory studies. People can get diplomas in biblical dream interpretation. So all of that is starting this year. But if you are able to get here, or we're going to make it available as an online. So if you're not able to get here, you can still watch it virtually. In April, we're going to be doing Prophetic Reformation Source. We're both going to be talking about Jesus as the source of all revelation and the goal of all revelation. He's the Alpha, the Omega. He's the beginner, and he's the purpose. He's the one that starts it, and he is the one that is being described by it. So we're gonna spend a couple days and just really press into that. Would love for you to come. We're following that up a month later. We've got my friend Ken Fish is going to be coming, and we're going to do Prophetic Reformation Reset, going back to the original blueprint for the prophetic ministry in the church. What does that look like? And we're just going to dive deep into that. They're not the same conference being done twice. They're actually going to be building on each other. So welcome you to come to both of them. Actually, if you're interested and you're able to come, when you register, you can register for both of them at the same time for a discount, or either one of those. But would love to have you come and do that. Check out our other training if you're not able to be here in person. Would love to engage with you in that way. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss when we put out new content. When you enable your notifications, you'll be able to get a notification when we go live, when we release new videos and new materials, so that you don't miss the next time we're doing our live dream interpretation and some of the new content that we're going to be putting out this year, because we've got some fun stuff that is in store. So
yes, we do.
Don't want you to miss it. Okay, so let's do one more dream before we finish, and we'll just do this one right here. This is our newest dream. Mari, I was with a coworker in a restaurant and we ordered some food. Jodian ordered curry and I ordered a food with habichuelas with rice. Then I woke up from my dream. Do you know that word?
No,
I do not either. But the idea of food is easy enough. So with a coworker in a restaurant is a place of eating. So food can represent learning about something. It could be something about the things of the spirit. It could just be learning of any kind of thing. So because it's a coworker, it depends on if your work is ministry related, that might be some spiritual food, but it could just be saying that there's some training, some equipping that's going to be happening. But that there's going to be the equipping, what's needed to be learned, that's going to be unique to each person. So you're going to get something that you're going to enjoy. They're going to get something that they're going to enjoy. It's almost seems like two different cultures, like Indian food and I'm pretty sure that's Mexican or Spanish. I think it's a Spanish word. I recognize that.
I just got a text message from Sherry Holland. You would know Sherry from Live at 5. It's eggs with rice. Eggs with rice. There we go. So now we know what it is. We love our staff helping us. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah. So that's a very different thing. That is a Spanish kind of dish. So they're two different things. So you're able to get what you need. Are you getting anything else on that one?
No, it's just that simple forward. You know, you're in a place of receiving. You're receiving what you need, and the Lord's confirming that in this season you're going to get what you need that is actually catered towards who you are, and the people that you're running with are going to get what's catered to them as well, which is a really good encouragement.
Yeah. I know we said one more, but I just saw this one and I figured I'd jump into this one. So, daughter of Abraham and Jacob, I had a dream that I was told by my pastor that I would not get evicted and need deliverance. In reality, I shared this with the pastor. He said I would not get evicted. Later, I did get evicted. Why? So my question is, did you get the deliverance? If you didn't get your deliverance, that would be why you got evicted, because you would need the deliverance to be able to not get evicted. There's something that's there. I mean, this could be mercy. If there was a particular issue that you were dealing with spiritually and the environment that you were in was making you susceptible to that, then God had to get you out of that environment so you would no longer be susceptible to it. If there was a particular spiritual assignment that was affecting you being able to stay there, maybe you were supposed to be there, and the spiritual attack was trying to get you moved, but you didn't deal with the spiritual attack, then it was able to get you moved. So in the dream, you had two things. And so then the question is, did both of them happen? Because there was an and that was there. I was told by my pastor I would not get evicted and need deliverance, not or need deliverance. So those were two different things. So that would be the reasoning why that would happen. And it's one of those pieces. You got to be careful with making dreams mean more than what they mean, but you also don't want to miss what they're actually saying. And that dream is a little bit less of a dream and a little bit more of a vision. It's just an experience. It's a spiritual communication that, probably happened while you're sleeping, which is why you're calling it a dream, because that's how we generally do that. So hopefully that makes sense. Oh, and you're putting, he did administer deliverance to you. So you actually, he did administer deliverance to you. So now that becomes another piece of it. You would not get evicted, but you needed deliverance, and then you got both, but you still got evicted. And then the other question, because I'm not getting clear revelation, I saw that and I noticed that principle, and so I started talking through the principle. So I don't have revelation on this. The other possibility, and again, this is, from a teaching standpoint, not from a revelation standpoint, because I don't have actual revelation where the Lord is telling me, well, it's because of this or because it's that. So I'm just sharing principles that might help you to think about this. So here's another principle. The other thing is, maybe it was just a self-conditioned dream. You knew that you were going to get evicted, or you knew that situations were leading in that way and you didn't want to. And so you dreamt that you weren't going to get invited and evicted because that's what you really wanted. Your pastor didn't recognize that it was from the soul. And so when you shared the dream, he reiterated the dream because he didn't realize that it was actually your soul that was saying that. But in the same time, you also realized that you needed freedom. And you did respond to that one in the right way and found the freedom. So it's one of those tricky things especially with the way that communication comes. So one of the principles that we teach, we have it in the advanced workshop of dreams and visions. We also teach it in Streams Academy, is this idea of the weight of revelation. That the way that revelation comes to you and the clarity that revelation has, it will tell you how much weight and how much importance and how much you can trust that it actually is what it is. So if you get taken up into heaven and not just having a vision of going into heaven and not just imagining going to heaven, but you actually get taken up. And like Paul said, well, I don't know whether I was in the spirit or I was in the flesh. I just know that I went there. And you hear things there's a lot more weight that you can put on those things. But the thing with a dream and something that happens in the night season is it could be out of our own soul. It could be environment that we're in. It could be us processing things, and it could be the Lord. Like, it's all of those different things. It could be a chemical dream or a body dream, like we shared earlier. It can be a soul dream, which is coming out of our soul. Can be from the enemy. And then now you've got to be able to discern that. So you not only have the revelation, but you have your capacity to be able to recognize if the revelation was literal, if it was a promise, if it was a potential. Was it all of the revelation? Was that one piece, but there were other pieces that were giving you more pieces? And because of the question marks that are there, you want to put a little bit less weight on the importance of those things. So you need to have other things that confirm it. So you're taking a look at all of that when it relates to this. So hopefully there's some pieces there that will be helpful. Either way, praying that the Lord provides you the right place to be at. If you got evicted out of your last place, that wherever he intends for you to be now, that door would open up, that you would recognize it, and that you would be able to respond to him in the new season, and not have that happen to you again. So yeah, bless you.
And even in the midst of, even if you miss it with a dream or don't understand something, God's character doesn't change. And the potential for the enemy to come in with accusation and to get us paralyzed and to get us to a place where we're all of a sudden questioning the nature and the faithfulness of God. All revelation, right, if it's in violation of the scripture, is wrong. Meaning his nature and his character, even if you miss it with a dream or a situation, the enemy would love to afford to accuse the Lord to you, but that's not his nature and his character. So above all things, even when we get a dream revelation, we miss it, whatever that looks like, his nature and character is unchanging, and he is provider, and he finds a way in the midst of things that no one else can. So just encourage your heart with that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. I pray that this was helpful. Those of you that got dream interpretations, that make sense to you, that it was a blessing. Those of you that didn't, you learned something and received something from the Lord through this. We'll see you again next time. I'm sure we'll be on for a teaching moment beforehand, but the first Wednesday of the month, Sherry will be on, I think, with Joni, and we'll be praying for you guys. So don't miss that, and we'll see you soon. Until then, bless you guys. Take care.